Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. We are coming to the end of 2021, and I know this is wildly cliche, but I just can't believe it. Like, I literally cannot believe that this year went by so fast. And I think I say something like that every year, but this year just seems, I don't know, it just seems surreal almost. Anyway, we're coming to a close, and right now what I'm doing is I'm wrapping up all of the books that I have. I'm trying to finish up series that I started at the beginning of the year, or maybe in 2019 even, and get them wrapped up so I can start 2022 with a clean slate. So that has led me to start thinking about, well, what am I going to read in 2022? Because as of a couple of weeks ago, I was like, honestly, I'm feeling very, very free. I love that feeling. I'm feeling free because I'm not really committed to much. Now, I am sticking with Malazan, and that is one book every other month, so it should be wrapped up for good by the summer of 2022. So I'm not going to count that in today's list because I already started that in 2021, and I'm going to finish it in 2022 as planned. So we're not really going to talk much about Malazan, but this year I have kind of relinquished, let go of, released this idea of a strict TBR for myself because it just doesn't work. So as we know from my previous videos, I like to go ahead and say, this is what I'm hoping to read this month. This is kind of what I have on my plans, but the next month's video will show that I rarely stick to it, like maybe loosely sometimes, but usually what I actually read is vastly different from what I plan to read. So at the end of 2022, this will be a fun video to come back at and just laugh at myself because who knows what I'm going to read. But as of now, this is what I'm hoping to read or what I see myself reading. So I'm going to start with a couple of read-alongs, buddy reads, just some series that I have planned to read along with some friends. The first one, and probably if I'm going to be honest, maybe the series that I'm most excited for in all of 2022 is I will be reading The Dark Tower by Stephen King. This year, well, between the end of 2020 and all of 2021, I have become a Stephen King super fan. Like, I have thoroughly enjoyed everything that I read of his, and I'm just constantly blown away by his writing, and there's a reason he's the GOAT, you guys. He's the best. And we all know I love fantasy, so this is Stephen King writing a big fantasy series, and I'm here for it. I'm super excited. In Mike's Discord channel, a few of us are reading this together, and we're starting in January. We're not starting on the 1st because I believe there's some significance to the number 19 that I don't know about yet, but within this world, apparently there's some significance. So we are going to start on the 19th, and I believe we're reading one book a month. My friend Scott is who is heading that up. So if you are a member of that community and you want to read with us, hop on in. You have till the 19th of January to completely, get ready, make up your mind. But this is probably the series that I'm most excited about of everything. So I'm gonna toss all my books today because I usually pull that table over, but today I'm just gonna toss them. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go through these in no particular order. And this may seem hefty, but I don't know. Like I said, it looks like a lot of books because it is a lot of books, but I think this is pretty reasonable for my series in 2022. And then of course I will fill it in with shorter series, standalones, and random things that I have no plans of reading, but I will inevitably get sucked in because I am a total sucker when I have friends that are reading a bunch of other stuff and I'm not. It kills me. So there will be so many variations to this list, but I would like to tackle these series. So Sinlin Ascends, what is this called? Books of Babel, Josiah Bancroft. I have all of these on audiobook already. They were in an Audible sale a couple months ago, and I've heard good things about them. So I think Steph and I want to read these together. I believe it's Steph who gave me this book. Usually when people send me gifts, I try to save the little gift receipt from Amazon to use as a bookmark, but this one's not in there. But I'm pretty sure Steph gave this to me. So I'm really excited about this. And here's the other thing that I'm excited about for 2022 in general. Other than a few of these, I know almost nothing about most of these series, and I'm finding that I really like that about myself. My first year back to reading was 2019 and the first half of 2020, and most everything I read, I knew by reputation already. I knew what the story was, I knew who the fans' favorite characters were, I knew what the ending was sometimes. Like, they were all like really, really well-known series, and that was fine, but I'm finding that almost everything, I like to go into it nearly totally blind, not knowing what the series is about. And this is one of them. Like, the covers are interesting, but I'm telling you, I haven't even read the backs of these. So Josiah Bancroft, Books of Babel, I'm coming at you, okay? I have all of them on Audible. I have this first book physically, so I'll try to get the rest of them. I have no plans as to when this will come in 2022. If Steph wants to read it with me, I will just follow her lead because I love buddy reading with Steph. She's the bomb. So this is actually the only sci-fi I have on the list. I'm just now realizing this. Leviathan Wakes is book 1 of The Expanse. This is a series that I have been looking forward to reading for quite a while now. Everyone who's reading it, and I probably know at this point 6 or 7 people who have read these books, and every single one of them loves the books. Like, they are totally into it. You know, keep saying things like each book is better than the one before, and I can't wait to see what comes next. So I'm very excited to read this, but I just realized that it is the only sci-fi series on my list. So this is question number 1. Do you guys have any sci-fi series recommendations for me? Because I'm definitely going to be wanting more sci-fi in the mix for 2022. Now, this is a book that I know very little about it other than it's fucked up, apparently. It's really dark. My good friend Mark at Slowly Read, you have to check out his channel if you haven't already. But Mark is a big fan of this series, and I'm always intrigued by everything he likes because he's like the king of grimdark. And so it always kind of hooks me just knowing that it is true grimdark. But then my friend Brent read it recently in the last couple months of 2021, and he also has nothing but awesome stuff to say about it. And from what I'm understanding, it is dark, it is gritty, it is messed up, but it's also like really, really smart. It's complex, it has layers, it's a big, big story. So again, I don't know much about like the individual characters or what the plot is, what the story is to look forward to, but all of the, again, I didn't really do a very good job. Prince of Nothing is the name of the series, and R. Scott Baker is the author. I wish I could do a better job selling this to you. All I know is that the people who have sold it to me on like the little bits and nuggets I've been hearing from them already has me super intrigued and hooked. This is one series, but then it has a follow-up series, I believe, and from what I've heard, it's even better. So I'm not sure if I want to start this right away because I kind of want to wait till I have my decks cleared, maybe get a couple smaller series under my belt before I tackle this, but I really hope I get to it next year. Okay, so this is another one we are doing as a group read along with Mike's Discord. This is Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And of course, I'm just holding up book 1 of each series to kind of represent them. But this is called The Dragonbone Chair. As you can see, it is very big. The font is very small. From what I can tell and from what I've gathered from other people is this is bucket list fantasy right here. This is, if you're going to call yourself a fantasy fan, you need to read some Tad Williams, and I've read none. It looks like classic fantasy to me. From what I've read on the back, it looks like there's going to be some of my favorite tropes involved. But from what I understand, this is, if you call yourself a fantasy fan, you got to read this. Lycaenius. I've heard so many mixed things about this series. But from people who I actually care about their opinion, I mean, I care about everybody's opinion, but you know what I mean. You find people that you kind of align with their tastes. And I'm split there too, because I have one friend who read it and thought, oh, I was not into it. I think, you know, it was convoluted, it was confusing. And then I have another friend who was like, all that's true. Can be confusing. It is kind of out there, but it was one of the best endings I've ever read. Ooh, and I'm a sucker for a good ending. So this is a 3-book series. It's called Lycaenius. It is by James Eilington. And from what I hear, Michael Kramer reads the audiobooks. And I haven't had any Michael Kramer books in a really long time since I've gone through all of Wheel of Time and most of Brandon Sanderson stuff. I would love to hear some more Michael Kramer. So I'm definitely interested in this. Again, these are huge books. There are only 3 of them, but they are massive. So you kind of, I don't know about you, but I kind of have to be in the mood to start something that is, you know, 800 plus pages or 38-hour audiobook. Like, I have to be in the zone. But when I am in the zone, like, there's just nothing better to me than a huge fantasy book. So I'm very excited about these. I've owned these for a couple of years now. They've just been sitting on my book. And then this last year for my birthday, my friend Medic got me the 3rd book in the trilogy to complete my set. And so now I absolutely have to read them. And that's another goal for 2022, and that's kind of what I based my list off of, was completing series, or at least starting books that I already own. I'm never going to stop buying books. Let's just be real. Book buying and book collecting and book arranging and all that kind of stuff, those are hobbies for me that have almost nothing to do with reading, but so I'll never feel guilty for it. But I would like to make a dent in the books I own, because I've probably only read half of the books I own, and I would really, really like to read some of these that are sitting there looking beautiful. I love owning them, but I would also like to read them. So that's kind of what inspired my 2022 TBR, is making a dent in books I already own. So all of these are things I pulled from my shelves. Lies of Locke Lamora. Okay, this was really, really popular amongst booktubers and the fantasy fan world in general before I entered the scene. We're going to call it the scene, okay? So I know a ton of people who love this book. But since I've been reading, there hasn't been a lot of hype about it. You know what I mean? So everybody I know pretty much has read it, and most everybody has very, very good things to say about it. But like I said, I'm kind of a FOMO reader. I can't stand it when my friends are all reading something and they are loving it and they're on the hype train, and I'm sitting there in the corner going, I wish I was reading that. And that's what usually propels me to read something, is other people hyping it up to me. But like I said, this book has kind of been old news since I've started reading, so none of my friends were actively hyping me up on it. But then Brent read it. He actually just finished it like today or yesterday, but he really, really enjoyed it. And the things he liked about it are the things that I think I'm going to like about it. So after 2 years of this being on my shelf, just sitting there holding a spot, I thought, you know, I am going to read that book. I'm excited for it. I know that I've heard that it has a really good like friendship dynamic, and it has some flashbacks. I'm usually a fan of flashbacks in fantasy. And it sounds like it's like a band of thieves, or like a thief guild or something like that. I, again, don't know too much about it, but from what I have heard, I am very, very interested. But it's just been sitting on my shelf for so long, probably because I didn't know of anybody who was actively reading it. I'm such a copycat. So I am looking forward to that. Oh no, I just bent the cover. It'll be okay. Anyway, Ship of Magic is the first book of the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and this is more Robin Hobb. So I still need to finish Farseer, which is Assassin's Quest, is the book that it's waiting on me to finish it. And I'm definitely going to finish that before the year is up, so that I'll be ready for Live Ship Traders. So this is in the same world as that first trilogy, the, what do they call it? Realm of the Elderlings. That's what Robin Hobb calls her world. Anyway, this is the second trilogy, the second installment in Realm of the Elderlings, and I've heard so many good things about this series. Like, I'm talking, people have read it once and said, that's my favorite fantasy series of all time. Or my favorite thing I read this year. Like, most of the people I know who have read this recently, it has shot to the top, the very top of their favorites list. And I'm telling you, like, hooked. Like, that kind of stuff, I can't resist. You tell me something like that and I'll drop everything. And that's about where I'm at. I'm so excited to read this. So I had to finish Assassin's Quest. Again, I don't know when I'll be reading this, but I'm going to read it because I'm totally intrigued just on how much other people have enjoyed it. This is another one that I'm hoping Steph will read with me. Okay, speaking of Steph, you better be watching, girl, because we are going to read Codex Vela next year. I know that Mike is planning on reading it, Brent is planning on reading it, Steph, I'm not sure who else, but when Malazan is over, I know that this is one of our top priorities, is to get to Codex Vela. I love Jim Butcher, the creator of Dresden Files. In my opinion, I know that this is going to be really different because this is fantasy. This is like epic fantasy, maybe even like medieval. Like, there's a guy with a cape and a sword on it. Let's go ahead and call it medieval fantasy. But so it's going to be really, really different than Dresden Files, which is like urban fantasy with, you know, all kinds of modern elements. So I'm not sure what to expect because it's going to be very different from what I know him best for. But he has my full trust at this point. Like, I enjoyed Dresden Files so much that I will read anything Jim Butcher writes. Also, we have a friend on Discord, and he is the biggest hype man ever for Codex Vela. So I'm just throwing it out there. Gunner, I promise I'm going to read this in 2022, and I'm very, very excited for it. So the last one I have is Name of the Wind. Am I the only person in the world who hasn't read this book? Possibly. This is something that is divisive because it seems like people love this book and they like the writing style, they like the characters, they like the story, but it seems like the fantasy world in general is kind of fed up. Is that harsh? Tired of waiting on Patrick Rothfuss. I don't know. There's just, it's weird because most people who have read this book or what all is out, there's 2.5 books out, I think. They like the books, but so many people are kind of over it seems like. But I finally, you know, we all know that I'm good friends with Mike from Mike's Discord. He is notorious for like despising this book, but I think he is maybe in the minority on that because so many people love this. And I put it off for so long because I was like, well, if it's incomplete and, you know, a lot of people don't like it, maybe it's not for me. But then the more and more I hear about it, and I hear about what people don't like about it, and then what people do like about it, I feel like there's a really good chance that I am going to like this book. I feel like if I like the book enough, though, I can be okay with the fact that it's incomplete and understanding that it may always be incomplete. But I feel like I could probably enjoy it for simply what it is. So I'm ready to have my own opinion about it, because for so long I think I kind of let other people influence me, you know, people who were annoyed with the author or people who just hated it. And I was, you know, it sat on my shelf and I thought, I don't need to read that because it's so divisive and it's not even finished. But the truth is, I've heard enough good about it that I am excited to read it and have my own opinion about it. And the thing is, if I wasn't crazy about it, then I won't feel bad about walking away from it because I'm not the only one who walked away from it, right? So, Name of the Wind, here I come. Does this series have a name other than Name of the Wind? I think the series is named Name of the Wind as well as the title. So those are my plans for 2022. Like I said, I'm sure other series will make their way in. I'm also sure that some of these series probably won't happen. Although I can't really think of one that I would discard if I had to pick. I'm really excited about all of them. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. What do you think of my list? Is there anything super obvious I'm forgetting? Like, have we talked? Is there something I agreed to read along with you that I'm completely forgetting? If so, drop down in the comments below and let me know. But also, do you have any suggestions for me? Do you think this is going to be enough to keep me busy for the year? Should I plan on a few more? Maybe I should make a completely separate video for standalones because we all know I'm going to fit other stuff in as well. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'm really looking forward to 2022.